G'day, and today I'm going to do a follow-up video to a teasing of this old Russian Zenit camera that I was talking about a couple of months ago. I said I was going to run a roll of film through it and show some results. So here is this video showing you guys the results that I got from this camera. Now this is a early 80s or mid 80s Russian camera, the Zenit, which some of you may or may not be aware of, but for those who are unaware of it, it's a Soviet-made SLR. Pretty basic, pretty simple, but that's kind of refreshing actually. It has some features that you kind of need, as well as, you know, basic shutter speeds, and of course that winds and it fires. It's a pretty healthy little camera, and I have the Zenit Helios 44-2 58mm, which is not the one that came with this camera. The one that came with this camera was the 44-4, so an 80s version of this one here. And I believe that this one was made, the 44-2 was made in the 60s or 70s. I just happen to like this version of the Helios 58mm more than the other one. I think it's some characteristics which I enjoy more, and I've tried out both of them on digital cameras. And this has the old M42 screw mount, so you can easily adapt this and put it on your digital cameras if you want to pick them up. And they're relatively inexpensive, these lenses. I picked this one up for about 60 euros. That's sort of the going price these days, and I find that they are going up more and more in price, as these are quite a popular little lens. Now, I put a roll of Ilford, what was it? Ilford black and white 400 ASA through this camera, and yeah, I was really excited to see the results. I got I can't remember exactly which one, but I think it was the C41 process, the black and white film, so it can run through the machines and the automatic developing machine rather than doing it by hand. I thought this was just kind of quicker and easy for me to get a result. So I took this camera out on my birthday actually with my family. We went down to Tønsberg, which is apparently the oldest city in Norway, and that's debatable, but that's a kind of a Norwegian debate. Anyway, people seem to think Trondheim is the oldest city in Norway, and I guess that's correct to a certain point, but who knows? Who knows really? Anyway, it's about the photography. So the whole idea and concept behind using this old camera and this combination was I wanted to capture a moment in history that had a bit of a timeless feel to it. Now, not to say that it's going to give like a super old effect, but you know, black and white, and from this particular camera or through this particular lens does give somewhat that classic look that was captured in the days when these lenses were produced and when these cameras were produced. And I might add that this camera is very basic, but it's very well built, and it's sturdy camera, all made of metal, and because it's all mechanical, there's no electronic problems apart from the little battery back missing. Here I don't get to use the inbuilt light meter, so I actually took along with me a small basic light meter and just played it by ear and hoped that everything worked out fine, which it did. So I got a good result, and I was really pleasantly surprised of the results that I got with this camera. And it's a fun little experiment, it's a fun little process, and it's also a fun way of capturing a good moment in time, because, you know, with as you know, with digital cameras and particularly with mobile phones, it's very easy to take a photo, save it, and then kind of forget it. You know, like and then you look back on your phone, and you go, oh well. And that there has the pros and cons to everything. You know, you have to get this developed, and it takes a while, and you've got to scan it in. But I mean, it's a process that's quite nice, and especially when you get to see the pictures after waiting so long. It doesn't have to be that way, but for me, I had to send it up to Trondheim, and then I had to get it sent back down here to where I am in Mid-Telemark, because there's no developing machines here in this little town. And I could do it myself, yes, but I don't have the chemicals, nor do I have the patience or time right now to be doing this. And this is kind of like a bit of a personal endeavor to capture family moments and private moments really with film rather than digital, because I get to care a little bit more in the pictures that I'm taking, and then I don't take so many pictures that I have like an abundance of photos that I have to go through later and sort out. Whereas here you get 36 from the roll, and you get different sizes. You get 24 or 36, but this particular film was 36, so we had 36 shots for the day to capture. And yeah, I think that was there's a kind of nice feeling about that you just take a bit more consideration to what you photograph rather than just point and shoot. And I mean, we've all been a victim to that, and it's very easy to kind of let those memories slide in the iCloud. And I also like really with film that physical touch. So we're going to jump straight into the showing of the film. So I scanned all of these images in with a simple film scanner that I bought. I don't have it here in the office now at the moment, but just to give you an example of how these films look. So this is a bit of an insight of like private pictures I got here. So we're going to have a look just simply at a landscape just down on a place called the World's End, or Verdens Ende, in Norway. And you know, the picture is exposed. It's able to take pictures. You know, so that's one positive for me. You know, when using an old camera that you've never used before. And I mean, I've used the lens, so I know the lens, but you never know how things are going to be until you actually develop them. So we're looking at some of the qualities here. You can probably see that there's a stripe going through the middle of the picture. I think that's actually a scratch from the developing machine up in Trondheim. So I think I need to let them know that they're scratching the film, because I've got a few developed films back and they've had these scratches. So that's unacceptable. But anyway, we're having a look at the picture itself. Black and white is always reminiscent of the older times, and you know, it's got this kind of a nice feeling to it. You know, it's a little bit like here, because it's an old place, you don't really know when it's taken, and that's kind of part of the majesty of doing such an experiment. So we'll have a look at another picture, just in terms of sharpness and quality. So this is, I think it's an alpaca. I believe it's an alpaca. It's, correct me if I'm wrong. Llama, alpaca. I think it's alpaca. So I feel that the you know, it's a photo. I was able to focus on the eye, and I managed to get it. You know, I had an ND filter on, so I was able to get a little bit more of a soft focus, and a bit more, you know, leading to a subject of sharpness and contrast within the picture. So the lens is kind of what we're looking at here in terms of its image quality. We don't really know so much of or don't really notice so much of the camera's ergonomics and everything, but you know, it's fine. It was really able to take a picture, and everything worked out well. And then using also that external light meter, I was able to obtain a nice picture. So of course with having an ND filter on, I think it was a 2-stop filter, I had to just cater in 2 stops wider or more open aperture than what the light meter was giving me. So that's pretty easy to figure out when you're out in the field. But overall, the image quality is really nice, and the film is also a decent film. We've got a whole lot of quality and contrast and depth and all this kind of stuff and detail. And I think it's overall a nice end product. So I tested it out in a few different situations. So going like f8, f16, pointing at the sun, pointing away from the sun. So this is just to have a look at overall contrast and texture. What we have here is a little tower, and this is down in Turnsburg, Illinois. We're getting here a lot of detail in the sky, so the actual film itself is holding a lot of detail, and I find that to be really fun to see. We get this beautiful kind of gradient here, but it's very subtle. I think it's pleasant. I think it's very pleasant. I think the picture's quite well. So I think if I zoom in here, we start to see a few more of the kind of grain structure without getting kind of too digitally in it. I guess here, if we get too close, then we start to see blur, and I guess that's also maybe due to my coffee shaken hands that it's not super sharp, but it also could be the focus as well. But yeah, overall the image is a very pleasing image. Can't really say anything bad about it. Pointing it directly at the sun, seeing how the film handles direct sunlight is also interesting to see. We still see quite a lot of detail within the sky, and then we see, of course, the spot of the sun. So it's interesting to see how well the details are maintained here. And even if we look at the little tower itself, we still have a lot of good handled micro contrast and detail here. We still see a little bit, and also on the side of the mountain, we've got some detail behind that flare. Again, that's when you point a lens directly at the sun, you have to expect this kind of result. But still, for some reason, I enjoyed this picture. There's something nice about it. It's like a ghost in the castle kind of imagery. We'll go back to another portrait of the llama. Now, this is spot on the nose. Could have been nice on the eyes, but actually I quite like the composition because it looks like a little face in this little alpaca's nose, and you see his teeth coming through, and I don't know, I really like this composition, this head, and very monstery. I like this out of focus and into focus leading line across the screen, giving some kind of, I don't know, you can tell it's a fence, but I think the details are really nice when we have a look at this film here. It's not overly sharp, and it's got some contrast and detail in it, and it gives some reminiscence of this old days imagery, and that's also with help of the lens too, of course. I can't repeat that enough, that this is all dependent on these things. So we'll have a look at a picture of me and my son. So my partner that I needed took control of this picture. So we're getting more on the overexposed side, so we're having a shot directly in the sun. My son looking a little bit skeptical. But even in the highlights here on the skin, we are having a nice kind of fall off here. So that's something nice to have a look at, really, when taking portraits in this. It's very pleasing, and it looks a bit porcelain, so it's kind of nice. And the out of focus areas are also quite pleasing, over here. But I think this was also shot at like f5.6 or f8, if I'm not mistaken. And here we have, it looks like maybe, because I didn't know how to wind the film back properly on the camera, so I damaged the film a little bit. But So then we're here when I guess they were taking the film out of the thing. It must have got some light damage or something in here, or probably something to do with the lens, you know, because the actual barrel of the lens is not super tight. It could be a myriad of different issues that can happen here. I don't know exactly what had happened, but we've got a light leak. Could also be a flare. I'm not exactly sure. But assume, like looking here, that's backlit, so I assume that the sun is just up here. So it is probably a flare and not a problem with the film itself. So it's actually just the photography in this sense, or how I took the picture. We're just having a look here. Yeah, everything is backlit. So yeah, nice details. We've got some good good depth. Everything here. Again, this picture is quite nondescript. It's nothing overly special, but it was good to test it out, to have a look at how much information is kept in the sky and how much information is in the shadows, and it's very pleasing film to play with. If we have a look here with my partner and I and my son, this is a good example of something that feels like it was photographed in the 50s or the 60s or something like this. You know, you can't really pinpoint when it was photographed. You know, that also helps with this old boat here as well, this metal boat and this wooden kind of dock area here. It doesn't, there's nothing really here that sort of describes that, okay, it was made at this, in 2021. I guess if you were to kind of really go into it, you say, okay, maybe the boots look a little bit modern in his jumpsuit, but everything else in the picture kind of gives kind of reminiscence of the old days here, and I really enjoy this picture portrait. Kind of like this classic posing, you know, let's sit here, and it was fun. Looking at more details, this was cool, you know, like a real opening up of contrast here. So everything is quite visible in its texture. I really like it. The water, you got these spectral highlights which are from the sun, which are very well kept here. We've got some nice elements here that we have in the picture. The rope, a little bit overexposed there, but overall the picture is quite pleasing and the textures are quite fun. So I like this picture, and I just really enjoy just some of these shapes and contrast and all this kind of stuff. It's a fun picture. Then we have a look at some nature. This was a terrible shot by me. Just goes to show how, you know, we can all make bad pictures. I wanted to show another shot. Was it this one? Yeah, this one was fun because this one really showed off some kind of like old feeling. I felt like somewhat with the posing, you know, it's got this kind of winter is ending here. We've got this kind of dugout trenchy bank where the water runs through. It was a bit low at the time. I think a lot of it was frozen. Just the kind of blur, this kind of haziness. This picture was something that I would expect to see from the early 1900s, and that was definitely fun to photograph as well. Then this one here, I really like this one. This one was a really fun picture to capture. We had some flare, I guess, coming from the sun here. We had some crazy spectral highlights going in here, or might even be within the processing of the picture, but overall we get this beautiful contrast, this tone coming in here, like the blacks and the greys and everything here. Just the positioning is a little bit off. I would, you know, if I was to recompose this, I might just chop a little bit off here just to get that image balance. But they're just small nitpicks. So essentially, you know, straight out of the camera, no processing, and I think the picture looks great. Yeah, and the highlights and the shadows are all very well exposed. You know, I can't really pick anything out of it. You know, it's a great picture. And I think I wanted to show just one more. And I think that's it to show off this this film. So I wanted to show like a little bit of a classic portrait. So this one is my son. So we get a little bit of the swirliness going on here, and that's what the lens exhibits. And my son here is holding the light meter that I was talking about, and he thought it was a telephone, so he put it up to his ear and was like, hello. But this is a fun example of some old school portraiture that might have been back in the day, and I wanted to kind of capture that and reminisce a little bit. Also capturing a photo in 2021, you're able to recreate that in some old ways of photography. So yeah, I think overall, I've got some other photos there, but I won't go into them. It's not necessary. You kind of get the idea, really, overall. So that's that's it from this old Zenit camera. I'm really impressed with the results that I got from it, and I really like the versatility of this this M42 mount. I think I will get other lenses to fit onto it. I picked up some of these I think it was like for 30 bucks, maybe 30 euros. I picked up this old German 50mm. It's an f2.9. It's a E Ludwig Merita 50mm, and you know, I think they were made by the masses, and they were super cheap and affordable lenses at the time. And you know, they don't often come up in the market, and I mean, you can buy plenty on eBay potentially. But I thought, okay, I'll just nab this up because it's so tiny. I mean, the size of the lens is just so. How can I give a comparison? So if we were to, here we go. If I was to get my telephone, for example, so this is my iPhone, just a normal iPhone, and look at the size of this lens. You know, it's very small in comparison. So like, look at my hand, it's tiny. And I think this is fun because, you know, it's also got the M42 mount, so I can put this on this camera, and away we go. I can go photograph with this one, and then I can also get this little lens as well as what I have with the Helios. So get just a normal adapter, which I got for, I don't know, €2 or 20 kroner, 30 kroner on online, and then I can use that with all of my cameras, and that's really fun. That's a really fun little toy, and it's small, it's compact. You know, you don't have these big whopping modern day autofocus lenses. And I mean, the results in this was they're so. It's not fantastic, but it's fun. It's all about having fun in photography, and that's the whole point, you know. And that's why I'm showing you some results. What is possible with some old film. You know, the film is not dead. It's just expensive and kind of like a hobby. I mean, I know some people still use film professionally. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what do you use film for? Are you going to be using film for a photo shoot or a fashion shoot or like family memories and all this kind of stuff? For me, I like to use film for family memories because it has a bit more of care and a meaning to it. Not to say that you can't work with it professionally still, and a lot of people still do, particularly with medium format and whatever. But for me, I film more, and I have the digital cameras, and they are more for the work purposes, more flexible that way, and that's fine, you know. And like I said, I feel like that there is that more meaningful connection to actual physical film, that an exposed piece of film plastic with some silver emulsion is just, I don't know, there's some magic about it, and there's a bit of a romance as well in that fact. So I can't ignore the calling for that particular want to do that activity. And again, you know, it's not like I use film all the time, but when I do use film, I like to really take my time with photographing. So having some of these old time pieces of glass where it's all manual, and you can't, if you got to say, for example, my son, if he's running about, it's very hard to get a sharp picture of him unless he stops, and then I have time to focus and then photograph. You know, there's that training and skill and practice within all of that. So it's just another aspect of photography or image capture that is really nice to to step out of the digital world and kind of focus on capturing moments. Because you're not taking 100 pictures, you can actually also enjoy your time as well. So there's a bit of a philosophical aspect to that as well for me personally. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little insight and demonstration of what I produced with this old 80s and 60s combination of Russian camera. There is another thing that I'm going to quickly show off before I cut this video. Is I got in the mail an anamorphic Frankenstein here. And this is currently on a Jupiter 9, which is again one of these old Russian lenses based on some fantastic German design glass. And then I've got the Sankor anamorphic 16C on this camera, adapted via a clamp. And I'm going to show some examples later. I went out yesterday and filmed, did some test shots for a music video that I'm hoping to be able to film this coming week. But I will make a separate video showing off this anamorphic Frankenstein and give you a little bit of my thoughts and insight to using such a thing. And I'll give my honest opinion about it. It's not all positive, but the results can be fun, let's say. So that's it from me for now. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. So shout outs to everyone on the Patreon and the world, and woohoo. I hope everyone's safe and having a good time. And get out there and do some photography, because history won't record itself, will it? See you later.